Hi, I'm Luna and I'm here to heal the world from abuse and cruelty. And today's video is about the word justice. And I'm going to share with you all a story of a time when justice wasn't served for me and how I raged at my guide, one of my guides, Mother Mary. And what the outcome of that was my understanding of the word justice. And so I'm going to share it all with you all today in the hope that it inspires you, supports you, and if you're going through the same thing that I went through, hopefully it will heal you, and maybe you'll just feel some grace pour in through my words. So, years ago, I was in a horrifically abusive relationship for a long time, and this person destroyed my life, utterly ruined it, left me destitute. And when I left them, they were so frightened that people were going to find out about who they truly are and what they'd done to me, that they decided to try and intimidate me and to try and control me from afar in what amounted to stalking and harassment. And at some point that wasn't enough, and they decided to come and find me. And I was hidden by the police. I'd had my car registration changed. I was living in a different county. I hadn't shared my address with many people. There was less than a handful of people that knew where I was. And what happened was he found me. But as luck would have it, in a divinely orchestrated incident, when he arrived, I had people here with me, which was very rare because lockdown had just been lifted. But not only that, I was on the phone to the police. They'd rung me up about him and were asking me questions about something else that he'd done to me. And so when he arrived, I was actually on the phone to the police. So some divine protection was present there. And it was a huge relief to have that. What happened was the police said, we're going to press charges because we've got witnesses, we've got a phone call recording with us, and there's loads of other evidence. There was lots of other evidence as well. So they gathered up all these bits of evidence and they took my phone and things like that. And they took him and they'd arrested him and they decided to charge him because they had plenty of evidence. And the Crown Prosecution Service said, yeah, we'll charge him. So he got charged and they were going after a stalking and harassment protection order. And what happened was I kept saying to them, because they kept saying, oh, you will get it because everybody does. I'm sorry, my cat's sneezing in the background, bless him. They were saying, oh, it's a given, we always get them. And I was saying, no, you need to really prepare because he will. You don't know how calculating he is. And if you're someone who's been abused, you will know. Abusers are so calculating, aren't they? They're always 10 steps ahead, aren't they? So I was trying to warn them, and they were just really confident because there was so much evidence. So no, there's loads of evidence, it'll be fine. Came to the hearing and he turned up with a full legal team, and I'd been through everything, including my medical records, which is so unfair because victims don't get to go through the medical records of perpetrators and use them against them. So he'd been through everything, even my medical records, and had twisted everything. And what was meant to be an hour-long hearing ended up being practically a day-long hearing. And by all accounts, he put on a great show. You know what abusers are like. They're able to turn on the tears, and so he'd done all this, and he thought it was like a TV show where he's the star, because that's how deluded he was, probably still is. And basically the magistrates decided that because he worked in law and he turned up in a suit and he's one of them. And so it's more important to protect him and his job than it is to protect the woman who he'd left destitute and who he'd been abusing all this time. Essentially, they decided he was more important than me. And so they didn't give me the protective order. And so the police, who had been very good with me, they believed me and everything, and they were supportive, and they were very good at the job, had the horrible task of ringing me to let me know. And they rung me to let me know. He didn't get the protective order, I'm so sorry. But we've given him a stern talking to, and we don't believe he'll come again or do anything again. Of course, I didn't believe that, because I know what he's like. So they put the phone down, and I let out a guttural cry. I was so utterly terrified and so let down. I could actually cry now talking about it, because it was so upsetting. My cat is mimicking. My cat is giving you a demonstration of the guttural cry. And I basically was so devastated and in so much pain, it brought me to my knees. And it was one of those very deeply spiritual moments where the ego is clinging on, but awakening is starting to rumble in the background. And on my knees, I was sobbing, and then this rage came, and it was like this protective force in me, this huge wall against my heart, because I was so frightened of the pain. It was that strong, the pain. I thought it was going to overpower me. And so rage came to try and protect me from it. And this rage, oh my God, it's like a volcano. And I decided that I needed to calm down. Not a bad idea, given how raging I was. And it's always better, of course, to try and work with the rage and not go against it. And I went and ran a bath. And here's the funny bit, I put some lavender drops in it. I mean, I honour plants and I respect them because they do great work, healing work for us, and they're a wonderful force in the world. But a few drops of lavender was not going to cut it. Was not going to do it. But anyway, I did, and I got into the bath, and I wasn't even intending on getting a wash or anything. I just sat in it hoping it would ground me. And I called in Divine Mother Mary, because she's one of my guides, and I had expected her to protect me. And I was like, you fucking bitch. You have never protected me. You have let me down. I am fuming. And I was absolutely raging. A proper full-on tantrum. I'm talking here, you know what I mean? Earth-shattering tantrum. And the thing is, I've been abused all my life. I was abused as a child, and people knew and didn't protect me. I was groomed age 14, and my parents knew and they didn't protect me. And so this was like a huge healing for me around never being protected. But in that moment, I couldn't even access that. I was just absolutely livid. So I placed all my rage with Divine Mother. Went on the rampage with her. And she was completely silent, which of course annoyed me more. Like, haven't you got anything to say? And eventually, because she had been with me, she just hadn't been speaking, because it was better for me that she didn't speak, because it was getting the rage out of me. Eventually the rage subsided into just absolutely livid. So it went down a level, right? And I just got a towel, managed to wrap myself in it, and just crawl to bed. And I got on the bed and I just sobbed, the loudest sobs, just absolutely heaving in pain. And then it would subside for a couple of minutes, and then, oh, it would come again, this pain. God, honestly, and it went on all night. And I would call it a holy night, because I was actually being reborn. I was birthing myself anew, because I was birthing myself into someone who would protect me. And not in a defensive way, because that doesn't work. That just gives you more, the universe just uses that to give you more things to defend. But in an open way, it was opening me, so it was cracking all these ego defenses, the walls in front of my heart. And eventually I ended up in child's pose, you know, the yoga pose, where you're on your knees and my head was on the bed, leaning forward, and the sobs had kind of just turned into whimpers. And Divine Mother came, and I felt her put a hand on my back, and she said, "It just is." And it was like a light bulb moment. And I was like, oh, justice just is. It just is. And that doesn't mean that we don't try and hold people to account. I'm a huge advocate for holding people to account. Miso agrees. I don't know if you can hear him meowing. He agrees. Yeah, hold people to account. Absolutely. And we need to keep trying to, enact change with law so that everybody does get held to account. But what she taught me with just is, if you think about it, just is in that moment, but in the next moment, it just isn't. I'm breathing in now, and that just is. And as I exhale, it just isn't. It's a teaching about death and about how it just is in that moment, but it just won't be the next moment. And actually, what she taught me was that sometimes she is the one to enact justice. And when she enacts justice, it's far more effective than our legal system. When she takes somebody through the steps to transform them, it's going to last. That transformation is going to last. Whereas, quite often legal things don't reform people, they don't change people. But she has the power to change people. And she told me in that moment, you don't need a protective order. I think, yes, I do. You know what he's like, I do. And it turned out I didn't. He never came again. And it's my sense that she has, and still is, taking him on a path of change that will be far more effective. So if justice hasn't been served for you, I just want you to know that it just is. But in the next moment, it just isn't. It can and it will change. And the most effective form of change is actually the divine. It's the universe. And let's not forget that the soul is eternal. So just because it just is in this lifetime doesn't mean it just will be in another lifetime. And it could even be that they learnt their lesson in a previous lifetime and they don't need the lesson in this one as much as you want it. So justice just is. And I hope that helps you, because I know it really helped me. Thank you for watching. If this is the kind of thing you like, please follow along, because I'll be sharing more in the coming days. Okay, lots of love to all of you. Bye.